Hey everybody,
Hey, welcome.
how's it going?
Great. How you doing?
Man, I'm so good. You wouldn't even believe it.
Oh, you look good. I don't even believe it. What?
Yeah. Well, you don't even believe that I look. That's great. Thanks. I'm just not gonna worry about that.
I'm sorry, man. No, you look good every time. I couldn't believe you looking any other way.
Nice.
Yes.
Well, welcome everybody. It's Don't Worry Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Cody, I hope you are having an amazing evening as well.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly am, and it sounds to me like Ryan is.
Oh yeah, I'm doing great.
Yeah, it's nice to have us all back in kind of at our home places again. For the
Oh,
last
for
2 weeks,
sure. For me.
Brian's been on vacation.
Yeah, it's nice to be back. It's nice to be able to have everything set up around me like it's supposed to be and not have to be hectic about trying to set up a stream on the spot in some other foreign land. That's not really foreign, but whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun, and we still made it work, so it was good.
Mm-hmm.
But
Thanks,
yeah,
Jeff, who did it last time for me. I was on the road driving home, so
mhm.
that was nice.
Thank you to Jeff. Jeff did a great job, I thought,
Mm-hmm.
and it was funny. Like the internet thought so too, because every time Jeff would talk, the internet would work, and then
Yes, that
and
was
then
funny.
he would get done, and then I would start, and then it would break.
Every time.
And I was like, what? Oh well. But apparently if you go watch the video of that,
Yes.
it's flawless. So you just
Yeah.
see our little conversations and it's off again.
Mm-hmm. It's back on? No, it's not. Is it? Uh, 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 okay, it's back. No, it's not. Ah,
It's green. It's red. It's green. It's green.
it's
It's
red.
red.
It's green. It's
It's green.
green. All right, it's green again. All right, so that's that. No, it's red. Red gray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well we
So
had
anyways.
it was fun. But anyway, so that's besides the point. Welcome everybody again. It's Don't Worry Wednesday. Those of you
Mhm.
who've been here before, you know what this show is all about. We handle any issues, challenges, or anything you might be going through. Just feel free to post them in the chat, or you can post them on our website right here at bss.studio. And there's the link to the forum for the topics for the live stream. You can also send us an email at dww@bss.studio. That's dww@bss.studio. And if you want to remain anonymous, just let us know, and we would be happy to handle anything you want. So,
Mhm.
welcome everybody again, and thank you all for being here. We have quite a few questions
Mhm.
in the queue.
Thanks for being the host so many times in a row, Joe. You do a great job, so I'm always glad that you're willing to do it.
Oh, thanks. Well, you were gone, so it was a little bit tougher for you to be the host when you were gone. So,
Yeah, I
uh,
appreciate it.
yes. So, speaking of different titles and roles, we are produced by Jesse.
That's right.
Thank you, Jesse. And
Thanks,
our
Jesse.
chat room hostess is Princess.
Mm-hmm.
Say hello to Princess, and
Hello,
she
princess.
keeps us on track and makes sure that it's kind of funny. Now that we have so many challenges in the queue, we might have to start setting a timer
Yeah.
so we can
let's
handle them all.
let's see how many we can get through today. There's a lot. So
Yeah.
we've got like 2 hours. Let's go for it.
Yep. So all right. So let's see. Starting at the going, if we line them up, oldest to newest, we've got one from Angel. We've got one from Uni. We've got one from Princess. We got one from Dead. We've got one from Akil, Pokemon fan, Matt, who I believe, Matt, are you Ender Boy 7? Would that be you, Matt, the introvert who likes to share? I was trying to figure that. Yep, I'm Matt.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Good call, Joe.
Yeah. Then we got one from Master Lay, Strawberry, Kay, Kendra, Akil, Satura, Cherry, Cody. Man, oh man, we've got them lined up.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's
Yep.
awesome. Look
So
at look how crowded we're getting. That's awesome.
Yeah, so you guys are amazing. I tell you. So if Angel or Uni are here, um,
Please,
please let us know. We'd
please
be
let your
happy to
presence
handle
be known.
yours.
Yeah.
'Cause it's been a while since we've seen you. And if not, our first one in line would be Princess.
Who's crazy? No, that's the title. Sorry. Princess isn't crazy. Princess
Oh,
isn't.
hi Haley. Good to see you.
Haley. Hey, Haley. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Love you too.
All right.
Thanks,
So
Brian. Yes, I'm crazy. We're all crazy. Don't worry about it.
Princess is crazy awesome. I agree with
Yes.
that.
Crazy. Awesome. Definitely
Uh-huh.
it.
All right. Well, let's do Kendra, or let's do princesses.
Okay.
The one about who's crazy. So I will post a link to that topic here in chat, so you guys can all read along. And don't forget to post it for our illustrious producer in the separate location. Speaking of which, oh, not only is Jesse our producer, but if you see that current topic box that's up there, actually, it's probably up here.
It's somewhere over here.
Right.
Over here. That looks so weird. This is like an optical illusion.
It is. That's awesome.
Weird.
That is actually all those paraphrases that come through. That's Jesse, who reads through the post and types something. I don't even know what it is he types because we don't get to see that screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing it's good though, because
Yeah.
all we've heard are good things, which I don't think we've heard any bad things.
Yeah,
So
no bad things. And I was watching the stream from when you and Jeff did it, and it populates, and Jesse's been doing a good job at that.
mhm.
So thanks, Jesse.
Yes, thank you, Jesse. So feel free to click on that link that I put in there and read along, because this is a little bit on the longish side. Yeah, we'll go through it. Princess is nervous. Oh, Princess, you don't need to be nervous. You know we love you.
Yeah.
So, okay. This is from Princess Yellow, and it's called Who's Crazy? And it says, this post honestly kind of goes into a much deeper section of invalidation. It kind of hits home about what BSS stands for and why it means so much to me. But I'll put it into a different section, as others responded to my previous post before I was finished. And it would be wrong to place this there after their answers. Culture in college, especially, can be quite toxic or quite graphic. Or maybe I'm just too different from anyone who's in my grade. Sexual references, drugs, swearing are very common among my peers, especially the not quite mature males, and often is something I'm exposed to. Being in the science field right now doesn't exactly help with that either. And no matter how I choose to react to what I'm exposed to, any complaints or requests I have are left forgotten or ignored. One in particular admits ignorance, and yet he said that he'd still tell someone who's suffering something invalidating to their face just because it's funny or the way he sees the world. So what do I do? Who's crazy? Me when I try to hold on, or maybe when I try to play along? Neither seems right and always is accompanied by pain. What's crazy? Abandoning acquaintanceship once and for all, or maybe trying to be near them at all? It's hard to feel close to those who don't want to understand. They say to make friends, but I'd ask, what does that even mean? Referencing pattern to the song Who's Crazy, My Psychopharmacologist and I from the musical Next to Normal. I'm sorry, I know I don't like dealing with it, so why am I trying to reach out and share the pain? I don't want to share the pain. I just want to help. And I don't know how else to explain except by sharing. But when I tried telling someone else who I trusted, they asked me why I even shared it, since they didn't want to see it and only proliferated the pain. Yes, that's not all. I know I've said this before, but I deeply feel emotions. I can feel the pain and the joy, the love and the hurt of others as if it was my own, and it's a painful blessing. In college, tough issues have been addressed. This time it was about cancer, and while our professor told us about a story of his neighbor who had it, I had to run out of the room, literally, to avoid melting down from a tsunami of sadness and pain. I don't get it. You guys talk about how you can control your emotions, but I can't do that. I couldn't help but weep for her, and I tried for a majority part of class to not panic about the subject as a whole and to stay to get the notes and be like everyone else and not cause a ruckus. I even had to put in my headphones, trying to keep the peace just enough to hold on, which is pretty rude to do, right? But I couldn't, and I can't. I can't stop these feelings. They are too strong. It doesn't mean I don't at least try to control my actions, but I can't do what you guys do. Am I really that crazy? Am I so weak and fragile that I cry at what others didn't? Yet only 3 people actually cared to see if I was okay. I get that it's not like they should or anything, but if I had left sooner, would anyone have asked at all? Constantly, wistfully, someone comes close to me, asking me, what's going on? Or blasting right past me with no sense of compassion or empathy. And honestly, it's uncanny, passively grasping for some kind of tapestry that could tell me, not overwhelm me for an answer of why they abandoned me. While I am frantically panicking while holding a crying smile, waiting patiently, lingering to hope of the day, the way to say and not be forgot by those who care about me. And that is from Princess. And it says, P.S. The poem of closing provided by the help of the Holy Spirit. Those are the best poems when they're provided by the help of the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Princess, I'm so sorry that you've got to deal with that. It definitely sounds like a serious challenge, and I don't think you're crazy at all. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of Ryan's way, and I'm going to let him begin this one.
Yeah, it's very hard. We appreciate that you share it with us. We know that it's not easy. We understand that you're nervous and stuff like that, but you know us. You know that we love you, and we don't care if you've done terrible things or you're just upset at yourself or whatever. You know, we're still gonna love you. And yeah, it's very tough. You know, our personalities are different. So it's a lot easier when it comes to controlling emotions and that sort of thing, emotional intelligence. It's a lot easier for some people than it is for others, just because of their personality. And I mean, you have people in the world who you can't even tell what their emotion is. It doesn't mean that they don't feel emotion. A lot of people, like, for example, my brother. My brother just has a straight face, and when he gets excited about something, he has a straight face. And at least he used to. He's a little bit better at showing his emotion now. But when I knew him growing up, and I think when Joe first met him too, he didn't show any sort of emotion, but it doesn't mean he didn't feel any. He just didn't ever react to it, which is kind of interesting. It's not necessarily that he had emotional control. It's more so that he didn't have physical response to his emotions. He didn't know how to respond to it. Unless, he got angry or something and then kind of forced a response out of him or something along those lines. But most of the time, that was his personality, and you have a different personality. Your personality is very connected with your emotions. When you feel something, sorry, Jesse's saying that I'm making him fall asleep. So let me, okay, you're awake now. And if you feel something, you have the natural response of physically being moved by it. And that's your personality. I know a lot of people, like when I was growing up in school, I had a close friend, and he had a personality very similar to yours. In that I would say he was a sanguine, and you know what I mean by that, I believe, Princess. He was a people person, and he was outgoing. Whenever anything happened, he would respond like immediately and get caught up in those moments. And so for people who are sanguine or choleric, people who are outgoing, right? people who are outgoing in the world are swept up by what's around them, and that causes them to feel how they feel, right? So whatever's going around you decides how you feel inside. A lot of times for people who are outgoing. For people who are reserved, or what's the other word for that?
Introverted.
Introverted. Thank you, Joe. So people who are outgoing, extroverted, etc., they are very much how well their day is going is based on the things that are going on around them. People who are introverted or reserved personality, their day is decided upon what's going on in their head. Most of the time, they're not as easily affected by what's going on around them. So what I'm saying here is you're not crazy or broken. You have a personality that makes it harder for emotional control, but you also have a blessing in that as well, because you're outgoing, unlike most other people who don't have that problem, right? People like me who are not outgoing, and it takes a great deal of training to become outgoing. Instead, you're naturally more outgoing, but it's going to take a lot more training to not be affected by what's going on around you emotionally. So, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, but we can all learn and grow in those places. Some people are just going to have a harder time than others. No one's crazy, for being as they are, their personality. That's just natural. So I'm just saying this so you don't think that you're broken, because you're not. That's very normal. There's other people who deal with that same exact thing. And as long as you're trying, that's awesome. Now, some things, some things you could say are not wrong, right? It's not wrong to be emotionally affected as you are. It's not a sin. It's not broken. It's not a bad thing. It can be a bad thing if it's something that is unloving to yourself or unloving to people around you, right? If you're damaging your life, or if you are allowing anger to take over you and you're being bitter or choosing not to love, etc., then that's something you need to work on. But if it's something that is innocent, or what's taking what's what is overwhelming you emotionally is not necessarily of a bad thing, a sinful nature. It's a lot of times you're crying because you are feeling the pain for them, and that's out of love, out of desire for good. You don't want them to feel that, right? And so that makes you break down and cry. There's nothing wrong with that. So don't think that you're broken or that you're doing anything wrong there. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think I have told you before, there was a bishop who was known for crying, basically like you, when he heard stories of other people in pain, or when he would even like just going down to pray, he would start crying. And they called that the gift of tears. And so it's not necessarily a bad thing. It can be a very good thing, right? So I think one thing when it comes to overcoming things or getting better is not to keep track of the times you fail so much as lifting yourself up over the times that you're succeeding, right? Anyhow, yeah, it's hard because, I'm not you. I haven't faced all the same things that you are facing. I can give you stories of times that I've overcome my emotional desires, right? Like when I feel offended by something, and then I can take a step back and say, wait, let's not be offended by it, and then take actions. And those actions start to force my mind to change and say, oh, you are okay. You know, you aren't offended, you know, you don't have to be. Or when I'm angry or like, you know, that sort of thing. I can tell you stories of that happening, but you've already heard them. um, and I'm sure you have those stories too, where you've overcome, you know, those pains and stuff like that. So think on those things and continue to think on those things. Again, I don't think you're doing anything wrong by being emotionally overtaken by sympathy. Um, that's kind of a good thing, right? Um, a lot of people don't have that empathy, that sympathy. A lot of people don't notice or pay attention to the people around them. They're so focused on themselves or on a task that they can't see the people in front of them and the pain that they have to deal with. So what you have is a gift, and it doesn't necessarily have to change. At least this part of it, right? If it's something like you're hurting other people around you because you can't control your emotions, that's something different. Right now, you're sympathizing with them and you feel their pain. I don't think that's necessarily a weakness within you. That can be a strength. Um, Now, I understand when it makes you feel um, awkward because you have to leave the room or do you start to break down and cry. Like it makes you think that you look silly, or it makes you think that you look weak or whatever. Um, I would say take that chance to be humbled and remember that, you know, you are as God has made you, and there's nothing wrong with what you're doing there. Um, don't don't worry about your own image. You know, when you are being sympathetic and you're crying for, you know, the people that you sympathize with, right? When you feel bad for them and you feel bad for them and you start to get emotional, that's not a bad thing. So I don't know. It's okay to allow that to happen. Um, and that's just kind of something that's particular about you. Anyways, I don't have a whole lot to say beyond that, so I'm gonna let Joe take a whack at it. Um, and yeah, I'm sure he's gonna actually say something important, unlike myself,
Whack.
who didn't have much. All
That's
right.
that's a whack.
Uh-huh.
Um, Princess, first of all, thank you very much for posting, and thank you for being vulnerable with this issue. Because yeah, I mean, there are times when I don't necessarily feel like sharing every things about myself because I'm self-conscious about it or whatever, and this
Mhm.
would fall in that realm for me.
Mhm.
Um, and but I have to tell you, Princess, I I didn't hear everything what Ryan said. So if I repeat any of what Ryan said, I apologize. But one thing I heard this recently, actually, and it's this situation that you're in with the deep empathy you feel and the pain that you can feel with people, or you can feel other people's pain that they must be going through. It says a lot about your heart,
Mhm.
and it says a lot about how deep your love is. You have such a deep love, and because the deeper someone loves others, the more pain they feel.
Mhm.
And so, and the context of this statement that I heard was with regard to Christ. And it was like, because he's God, he can love infinitely. And, so he was able to experience all of the pain that we all feel, you know, and for you to experience this pain in relation to others says a lot about how deep your love is, Princess. And I can tell you that there are very few people I know that have that deep of a sense of love.
Mhm.
And it's so impressive to me, um, that that you have that deep of a love. And even though I know it's embarrassing to have to get up and leave the class, even though I can imagine it's just gotta be ridiculous. You know, if you're concerned about people looking at you funny or thinking you're strange or whatever, you know, most of the time, I want to reassure you in this that most of the time people aren't thinking about others; they're thinking about themselves. And Ryan, I think Ryan touched on this a little bit, but you know, there if somebody sees you leave the room crying because something's going on, they'll probably see you leave and then maybe wonder for a minute, you know, what's going on, but then they'll just go back to what they were doing. And so don't worry about others, excuse me, thinking bad about you or anything like that. But I do have to say this about this situation. I agree that the college culture can be very graphic and toxic. I mean, I remember when I was in college, I went to college for like 8 years. And I remember it was funny because for a while I lived kind of a wild lifestyle, you know, where I was partying quite a bit. And I picked up the language of the party scene, which was pretty foul generally. And I was that guy like you ever hear parents say, you know, I don't want my kids hanging around with the wrong crowd. Well, my parents could never say that because I was that crowd. Like,
I don't want my kids hanging around with my kid.
right,
People
exactly.
support them.
Exactly. But now it's crazy. Now whenever I hear somebody talking that way in a graphic way with lots of swear words or you know, I sit there and I'm like, man, they sound so stupid. They just sound dumb. Like it makes them sound so unintelligent. And I'm like, man, I used to talk like that. God, I sounded dumb, you know? So that's one thing. It's so weird because, you know, we see it in movies and TV and everything and you know, well-placed swear words in dramatic events, you know, in dramatic uh, TV shows and whatever, you know, and you're like, oh, you know, maybe I'll sound cool if I do that. I don't. It's like, there's no reason. In fact, I have more fun coming up with a clean version of a word that I would
That's true.
normally have sworn at, you know, like.
Yeah, that is true.
So that was kind of how, you know, so now I come up with non-swear words that sound goofy. And so people make fun of me for that. And I don't care
Hmm.
because they can make fun of me or whatever. But Princess, I'm so glad that you're here with us.
Hmm.
I'm so glad that that somehow you found us and what we have going on at BSS you feel at home with, because you know that when we were putting everything together, that was kind of the goal. You know, we wanted to make something that was countercultural, something that was outside of the normal popular culture that was going on out there, and we wanted to provide a place for people because I think most people in their quiet moments feel left out. We all kind of feel like we're not quite part of the popular crowd, you know, and so we wanted to provide a place where people could come and be comfortable. You could come and feel at home. You could be at ease. You could say what you want. You wouldn't have to feel like you were going to be judged all the time, because that culture is so judgmental. Everything feels so judgmental. And so I understand how in your situation, with the way you are, with the deep love that you have that causes you to experience this pain alongside others, that might be odd to some people and they might judge you for that. And I wanted to be like, no judgment, because every single one of us feels pain from time to time. Every single one of us, you know, has been brokenhearted. We've all been stomped on. We've all been yelled at. We've all been made fun of. And it hurts. We've all been through that pain. And for you to be able to experience that along with other people is a tremendous gift, like Ryan was saying. And like you said it's a blessing. It's a painful blessing, to be sure. But it is a blessing because you know what? Your ability to have to feel others' pain means that no matter what you do and no matter where you go and who you spend your time with, you're going to be a person that can have such a huge impact on others because of that, because you're going to be able to validate people in a moment when they would feel completely invalid. And you'll be able to come in alongside them and help them through this and cry with them and be sad with them and be a companion to them as they go through whatever challenge it is. And that's what we want to do with this show. And it makes me so happy that you kind of took over the chat room for us and did that because your heart is in such the right place. So first of all, Princess, thank you for being who you are. And I hope that some of the words that I've said and some of the words that Ryan has said has helped to make you feel like, even if you're different, you're still infinitely valuable. You're unique. You have a unique set of gifts. And when you use the gifts that you have the potential to really impact people in a deep way, in a very meaningful way, where you will find your way into the hearts, into the deepest, most secure places of people's hearts, and they will remember who you are, and they will have a place of fondness for you because of that impact you can make. And I'm super, super proud of you, and I'm really glad to know you. And I'm glad that you're here. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're awesome, Princess. Thank you so much for sharing that. So Ryan, did you have anything else you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I thought of just a few more things, and I'll make it quick. One of the things that you mentioned is, when you're outside the classroom sitting there, everybody's leaving and no one says anything to you. I got to tell you, the people that are walking by you or the people that see you crying and they say nothing, you want them to say something because you want to share that emotion with people. You want to console with them, right? And you don't want them to just stare at you and make you feel weird, right? Well, here's the thing, Princess. Those people that look at you, there's a lot of them who are thinking, I hope she's okay. I won't say anything because I don't want to bother her. Or I don't know what to say. It would be really awkward to try to say anything. Or, you know what? Most people, they just don't have the courage. Mm-hmm. Most people just don't have the courage. They see you and they don't want you to be sad. They don't know what you're going through, and maybe they don't care. Maybe they're like, wow, I don't care about that, so I'm just going to leave. But most people, even though everybody, no one's perfect here, right, on this planet. And even though it might feel like college is all toxic and stuff, most people, they don't want you to have that pain. And when they see you like that, it makes them feel uncomfortable because they don't know what to do. They're not uncomfortable. You're not making them uncomfortable just because you're crying. They're making themselves uncomfortable because they don't know what to do. And then they don't have the courage to act on it. All right. So just keep that in mind when people look at you, if they don't say anything, or people don't come up to you and give you a hug or try to console you or talk to you about what's going on. People are looking at you and you feel like you're alone. You're not alone. Most of those people are looking at you and saying, she seems like she's having a hard time. I don't know what to say, so I'll just say nothing. Or I should say something, but I don't know what to say. So, I don't want to bother her. I don't know. Maybe she just wants to be alone. She probably just wants to be alone. Most people like to be alone when they're crying. She probably just wants to be alone. And they walk away because they don't have the courage to say anything. All right. So I'm just telling you that because that's how people are. So don't think everybody's staring at you and like, wow, I don't know what kind of bad things you could say to yourself, but you don't pretend they're all thinking bad things about you. He said, I've learned most people want to share when in pain as much as they might hide it or shift away from it. Yeah. Yep. That's true. Yeah. So just be, if you feel like that, if you feel like crying, if you have the opportunity, which you probably don't, you could talk to somebody about it. But that can be kind of interrupting, or maybe you don't have the friends in that class or whatever, so that can be difficult. But it's nothing to be ashamed of, right? You're not doing anything wrong. And yeah, it can prevent you from your studies, but here's the thing, Princess, everybody's got things preventing them from their studies. People will sit in class all day long and not hear a single thing, and they've done less than you, who has tried to pay attention and paid so much attention that you ended up crying. All right. So I understand that it can be disruptive to your learning, but everybody's got things like that are disruptive to their learning, myself included. So we all have to kind of take our blessings and curses along with us down the road for the path of where we're going. And in the end, they're better than not having them, even if they can disrupt us sometimes or make things awkward, right? So just keep on doing what you're doing, and I wish you the best in overcoming this. Not overcoming it like growing out of your sympathy and so on, but more so giving yourself the ability, or continuing to fortify the ability to stick with it. To when you feel like breaking down and crying, you can hold it back for a little bit longer, and just say, no, I'm gonna sit through this. I'm not gonna go, right? As long as you're trying to do that, I think that's awesome. And hopefully you'll get better as things go on. I don't have any better advice than that, because I hadn't gone through this, what you're going through now. So maybe somebody else has and they have the right advice. That's just my best. So I wish you luck, Princess. And we love you.
Yeah. Yes. Know that wherever you go, our love follows you, Princess. And hopefully that's helpful for you. But thank you again for posting, and thank you for everything you do on the stream for us. You're awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Awesome. Awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome. There's a W. You gotta get it.
Awesome.
Awesome. Awesome.
Great. Right. So now everybody's fun. That's awesome. All right. So Princess, thank you again. And we should move to the next one. What do you say, Ryan?
Yes, I think that's great.
So I did see Akil popped in for a second there. I don't know if he's still here, but Akil has one.
All right.
I think we handled 2 from Akil last time.
Yeah, I think you did. Wasn't it just like fully Akil and Jerry last time?
Akil.
Yes.
Yes, I think that's right. So yeah, and it was great. We kind of threw Jeff into the deep end. You guys had some pretty awesome, deep and difficult things to talk about. So Jeff's first day was just like
poor Jeff. You got hit hard in that one.
Yep.
But he
So
handled it
okay,
well. So.
he did. He did. Akil, if you don't mind, we'll move to somebody else's for this time. He says just do cherries. Cherry isn't quite next in line. The next one is Matt, the introvert who likes to share.
Yeah.
And I know you're here because this is also Ender Boy 7. Also known as, I'm going to say Quilk. Is that your name at BSS.studio? Is that how you pronounce that?
Quilk.
Quilk?
Quilk? I believe that's Quilk.
Yeah. And I like and I really like your image, like your avatar guy.
I love his avatar
Will.
or whatever on BSS.studio. That's one of my favorite
Swilk.
ones I've seen. That is such a cool. Where did you get that? That's such a cool. Did you make that? That's so cool.
Yeah. So anybody who wants to go see Swilk.
Swilk?
Swilk, yes. Drew it myself, he says. Awesome. Way to go. Here is the topic.
Nice.
Link to the topic right there.
Yeah, I really like it. The bow tie just makes it all come together amazingly.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so let's handle this one because it's next in line.
Tuxedo.
So this is from Matt, and it's about an introvert who likes to share. So, and it goes as follows. I'm generally doing pretty well in my life, but this is the closest thing to a long-term issue I have. If anyone ever asked me, I'd confidently say I'm an introvert. Not just because I don't work well in real life interactions, which I don't, at least not with strangers, but mainly because of my approach of keeping things private and individual. As an introvert, I enjoy being alone a lot, maybe too much, because I don't have to put on any sort of mask or filter for a certain group. The experiences I go through alone feel a lot more intimate and emotional. I also don't want to make myself 100% vulnerable just to be more sincere in social life. In fact, I like the moments I'm reminded of me not being vulnerable. It's a guilty pleasure when someone makes a claim about me and I smirk to myself and think, if only you knew, kid. So, from the last paragraph, you could conclude that I really enjoy the introvert lifestyle. But here comes the conflict. I also love expressing my thoughts, ideas, feelings. Through art, poems, or any other form, I like to share the wondrous moments or emotions in my life. But when I've done that, I feel like whatever I just shared is so much more insincere because the viewers or readers don't know the personality of the guy behind it. And the last thing I want is for my art to feel any sort of insincere. So, in order to retain my sanity and sense of mental security, I have to keep most of my life unshared. But because I genuinely like to share my thoughts and not doing so would compromise the sincerity of my art, I would love to share at least most of my life. That's a mathematical conflict right there. So this issue has been bugging me and making me feel confused for over 3 years now. I'm not sure why I shared this with you because I actually know what I want to strive for. So it's not like I need advice on which to choose, to share or not to, of which I strive for sharing more, if you can't tell. But there's still a chance you might be able to give some words of advice. Maybe I'm just looking for reassurance for getting through this conflict in my life, or hey, maybe I just like to share.
Well said.
And that's from Matt or Swilk. Thank you.
Matt.
Thank you for that post, Matt. And I definitely understand the conundrum. And Ryan has the absolute best answer possible. So,
so right, what is it? Why don't you just share that, whatever that is?
He's gonna dazzle you with his tremendous.
You seem to know what it is I should be saying, but I don't know if I'm actually gonna say it or not. So why don't you just share?
Oh, you're gonna say it. You're gonna say it.
I'm gonna say it in that way. Yeah.
Because anytime, dude, seriously, anytime you open your mouth, it's like heaven comes out. See?
You guys feel it? Yeah, it's heaven. All right. No. Thank you, Matt, for sharing. This is so relatable, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So relatable to both me and Joe. Like, this is right up our alley. This is our life. Because I am an introvert. And though you might not think so, you might not see that, I really am. Um, what I have done in my life is trained myself to be more outgoing, especially when it comes to dealing with people. Um, but that doesn't override the introvert that's inside. That's still my personality. It's still my natural state. But I also enjoy being around people. It makes me come alive, right? It makes me feel more alive, especially when I get to share the things, share things with them back and forth, learn from them, or, talk about deep subjects, and be intimate with people. Let me tell you something. One of the biggest things people need in this world right now is intimacy, and not intimacy in like a feely kind of way. I mean, intimacy as a genuine heart to heart. Hey, let's talk about the deeper things in life. Let's talk about what makes me me, what makes you you. Let's talk about what we believe in. Let's talk about, what we found out, that, the deeper subjects in life. Um, People need that, and people are terribly missing that these days. Um, and so one of the things that made interacting with people most attractive to me when I first started to do this, when I first started to like train myself to be more outgoing, was having those conversations and leading people into those conversations. You can start with, hey, how's it going? And you can take that and ask them about, like, hey, do you like carrots? And then they're like, yeah, carrots are good. And then, you can guide a conversation, right? And you can take a conversation, you can talk about things, and you can slowly make your way to guide it to something like personal, deep. Maybe it's a struggle they're having, or maybe it's just something in the world, wisdom that you found in your life that you want to share with people, right? That is one of the things that made me go, oh yeah, I love talking to people, because I love wisdom. I love intimacy. I love those things about human interactions. So I would recommend that. Try to find your way to talk to people. Start online if it's more comfortable, but you can do this in real life too. And that's one way of becoming more, how would you say, capable of relaying your intimacy, relaying your thoughts, relaying your personality, who you are, the deeper meanings behind your art with people, or just your interactions with people. Start with just relationships built on that, and you'll find that it's really enjoyable, and something that you will not regret. But beyond that, of course, here's something that's interesting to me. You said you don't want to share your art because you're worried that people will not see it for what it is. They won't see it sincerely, right? Now, the truth is, you can look at so many songs out there in the world, like especially things like the Beatles. Okay, let's just take the Beatles for example. They've got songs that are nothing but hullabaloo, hurlamage. they make no sense. There are songs in the world that, okay, the song, I can feel it calling in the air tonight, oh Lord. That song, everyone looks into that song, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so deep and sincere and beautiful. And like, I wonder what it means, right? And the guy who wrote it, what's his name? Phil Collins?
Phil Collins.
Yeah. He admitted it means nothing. It means nothing.
Yeah.
He admitted it just sounded good. It just sounded cool. And so he was like, I'm going to write that song. And people are going to be like, yeah, that's a cool song. But then little did he know, people will be like, oh my gosh, it's so deep and meaningful. And like, it touches my soul. And it's like, that's cool that it does. That's so awesome. But I'm sorry, but I was insincere. It didn't mean anything to me. I just thought it sounded cool. Right? All right. So if people can take things that aren't sincere and they can make them into something beautiful in their own minds, because art is just an opinion a lot of times. It's how people see it. They look at a picture. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but have you ever seen a picture of painted glass? Sorry, a picture of a glass, like a painted picture of glass. More than like 80% of the glass isn't even visible, but your mind puts that glass into the picture. They'll paint like the arc of one side of it, and your brain will finish the rest. They don't have to paint the whole thing. And so people's brains kind of either relate to the art or see something in it, see what's more than even what you put into it sometimes, which is amazing. That's actually really beautiful.
It is.
That people can gather more out of what you did than you even put into it. So I would not be worried about people not seeing the sincerity of your work, because some people won't and some people will. That's what I had to learn, you know, as an artist. One of the first things I had to learn was that, hey, some people like this kind of music and some people don't. I'm never going to please everybody, and that's never going to be my job. I'm just putting this out there so that it might help somebody. But I can't guarantee that anybody's going to like it, you know? And that's kind of the life of a musician or an artist or whomever. You just put stuff out there, put what you like out there. And likely someone else will like it. You know, it's funny. Joe said this many times, you know, and I would have to agree with him. You hear songs that you're like, how can anybody like this? It is so terrible. Like, and then it's like a famous song, and like it's got like people liking it all over the world. And you're like, how though? But listen to it. It's so bad.
Have you heard it?
Have you actually, yeah. Have you heard this song, or are you just liking it? Wait, how do you like this? Yeah, so people like stuff that you would never expect. And some people won't like what you would expect them to. And it's just all a matter of opinion. So thing is, don't ever be offended if someone looks at your work and says, oh, okay, cool, and passes it up and doesn't really give it the time of day. Because, you know, that happens a lot, and it's fine, because it will touch the people it needs to touch. And that is whoever it actually touches, sincerely. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that for now. But yeah, I hope that, because you already know what you want to do here. My advice, I guess, would just be start having conversations more with people about deeper things in life, making things intimate, personal, real. And that will enkindle a joy within your heart that makes you connect with other people. And that is one of the most beautiful things in life. So good luck to you, man. And yeah, I'm going to hand it over to Joe.
Nice, man. Ryan, that's awesome. And what I would do, Matt, is go back and listen to what Ryan said. Because I agree with all that. Because you know what to do. You even said it at the end, you know, where you're like, there's still a chance, you know, what in your last paragraph, you know, it's not like you need advice on which to choose to share or not to, because you're going to share more. And that's what you need to do. You know what to do. And I'll tell you what, I am so glad that you found BSS.studio and you register as a member, because what I want you to do is share everything you have at BSS.studio, please. Please, because awesome. You know, we're as we build the site, you know, we want to make it a place where people can express themselves, where people can share different things that they've accomplished, different things they've done, different things they've recorded or drawn or painted, all of that stuff. So share it there, and be sincere with yourself. Absolutely be sincere with yourself. And here's the thing. Like Ryan was saying, you don't get to choose how people are affected by your work.
Mm-hmm.
You
That was
know,
well
it's amazing. The first full-length album I ever did, I remember releasing it, and we didn't do this grand big release. I mean, we had a CD release party, and we sold a few hundred copies or whatever. No, it wasn't all that big. And then, but one of my cousins got a hold of it, got a hold of the album, and there was this song on there that I can't. It was long, and it was like boring, and for me, I remember recording it. It was this big pain in the neck, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then we finally get it done, and we release it, and I listen to that song. I'm like, I just wanted to like poke myself in the eye with a number 2 pencil, like.
not a number 1 pencil, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah. So like, I'm like, and so, but this cousin of mine loved that song, loved it, and listened to it over and over and over again. My aunt validated that, verified that for me. Like, yep, he listens to this song over and over and over again. And I'm like, why? Like,
Why would he put himself through that pain?
I don't know. It was like when It's Not Like I Like You came out, and I'm like, why does that have 18 million views?
Yeah.
Like,
why? It could have been any other. Really?
It's a good song. It's a cute song. It's wonderful, and the video is great, and all of it. It's a good song. But that many, like, there are so many other Static P songs that I like more than that one.
Same.
And I'm like, and the ones I like are the ones that don't get actually, one of the ones I like, I think my favorite one is No One's in This Alone, which has quite a few. But yeah, so but it's the crazy thing. And I've had that happen multiple times. Ryan and I, when we did our first project together and we released it, there was this one song that him and I collaborated on that actually turned out pretty good, but still, I was like, man, there's a lot of songs better on there. But we had so many people come up to us and be like, man, that song just changed my life. Like, yeah. We're like, really? That one? Okay. Well, good.
Good. I'm glad it did something because yeah.
Yeah. But but that's just how it works. And so when you're creating, do it, throw everything you have into it and be sincere and be yourself and throw you into it. Every piece of art that anybody does, whether it's poetry or writing music or singing, or even just the production of it, like the audio engineering, that in itself is an art form. Creating videos, media production, that in itself is an art form. And when you throw who you are into it, you paint it with your own unique, specific brush. And it's you that's going out into the world. You are sharing yourself. And as long as you're sharing a sincere, best version of yourself, you're doing the best you possibly can, and you're being sincere in your heart when you release it, man, you're going to have an impact on people, and it's not going to be how you expect it. And then you're going to have stories to tell. You're going to have stories to tell people like, you liked that one? Did you see any of my other stuff? Are you sure that's the one? Like, was that the only one you've ever heard of anything?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how I felt with my cousin. I'm like, have you let him listen to any songs ever?
He knows what's good and what's bad, right? Like,
yeah, I was like, wow.
No, he doesn't.
But I was flattered and I was glad.
Yes.
I was glad that he liked it, and I was glad for everybody. Anytime somebody offers something like that to me, and they're just like, hey, I really appreciate how you did that. I'm like, wow, thank you, because I really did put a lot of myself into it.
Mm-hmm.
You listen to a song and it's like, I'm sorry that I'm mainly just going on music, but that's what I know because that's what I do, so like that's the art form that I gravitate towards. But when you are in the studio and you put together a song and you play all those parts over and over and over again and do all those takes, and then if you do the engineering on it too, that's hours and hours and hours of working on this stuff. I mean, so much time and effort has gone into this, and it's a little 3-minute song that people take it or leave it. They listen to it in the background in their car when they're driving and they're talking on the phone or something, you know, and it's just going in the background, whatever. No big deal. And that's so much effort went into that. But you know what? Every little bit of it was worth it. I look at me in the creation process, and I look at you in the creation process too, Matt. And I'm like, you know what? Every minute you spend in there is worth it. Mm-hmm. Whether people take it or leave it, somebody's going to get impacted by it. And it's worth it.
And you're going to be building up your talents for later pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the first couple pieces I did of art or visual or musical or whatever were maybe they didn't get famous, right? Mm-hmm. But they led me to becoming a better artist because I put in the effort. So that's always the takeaway too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So do it. Do it, and post it and share it with us. We'd love to see it. Go to bss.studio, find the place you want to put it, you know, as artwork or anything. I mean, even if you have to create a new topic or want us to create a new topic for you or something, mm-hmm. You know, or hey, Enderboy 7 or Swilk or Matt or whatever you want to go by, you know. But yeah. And find a way to get it out there. You know, I'm in the middle of a marketing course and doing some learning about like written advertisement, stuff like that. So basically what I feel like my job to do right now is to figure out how to promote things and to figure out how to market things and figure out how to get things into the world and at a broader level. So because so many times when people create something, they spend all that time and effort into creating it. And then that's the end of it for them. And I get it, because I don't want to do anything else with something when I get done with it either, you know. But what I have felt drawn into is figuring out marketing, figuring out how to promote, figuring out how to do all that stuff, because there's so much that just stops. But the world would love it. And to figure out proper promotion and marketing, I think is my next skill to learn. So I really appreciate you being here, Matt. And I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan. See if he's going to wrap it up.
Just one last thing. Joe has kind of coined this phrase, and it's so true. It's not done until it's out in the public. I don't know how you said that before, but that's essentially it.
It's not finished until it's public.
Yeah, it's not finished until it's public. That's basically what every artist should say ever, because until you release it to the public, it's not doing anyone any good.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important to remember, finish your product and then put it out there for people to see. Some people might criticize it. Some people will applaud you. You know, you'll get all sorts of different responses. Don't let your emotional happiness be decided upon what other people say. That's my one last word of advice here. It's a trap that a lot of people fall into, because they get really nice comments at first and they're going, oh my gosh, you know, I feel so happy. I feel so good. You know, all these people are saying that I'm amazing. You know, it's cool. And then someone says a bad comment. Now, what happens when you see that bad comment? It just tears you apart, and it takes everything anyone else ever said that was good and just reduces it to nothing. And you're like, man, I feel like crap.
Yeah.
You know,
one of the best videos that you did with he's now known as Dead.
Yeah. He's known by many names.
Yes, known by many names, but there's a video they did where it was like basically what dislikes were like. And
Mm.
it's like it was just this little short, like few second thing, and it was so perfect. It was like this person, this anime person, please enjoy our video. And then somebody else throws a pie in their face. That was it. I was like, that's so right. Because that's what it feels like. It feels like someone just throws.
Yeah. Yeah, he did that. That was amazing. He came up with that. I was like, that's so funny, dude. Share it.
Yeah.
Put it out there.
Perfect.
But anyways.
Sorry,
yeah.
I totally disrupted you.
No, that's fine. So here's the thing. Here's the lesson. All right. That I don't want you to have to learn the hard way, but you're probably going to have to learn it the hard way anyways. But then you'll remember I said this. Okay. If you let the good comments affect how you feel about yourself, then you're going to let the bad comments decide how you're going to feel about yourself.
Yes.
You are not the accumulation of what anybody says about you. If people are saying, wow, this art is amazing, then the art is still art.
Mm-hmm.
And that's their opinion. And that's cool that they like it. But it's also cool that other people don't like it. Why is it cool that other people don't like it? Because that's part of what's awesome about being human. If people criticize it or bad talk your art and say, oh, wow, you did a really bad job on this, blah, blah, blah. And if you let that decide how you think about yourself, that doesn't make any sense. You aren't your art. You aren't just that. It's not like your value amounts to how good your artwork is. It has nothing to do with how good your value is or how good your artwork is. Those things are not connected. But you can take what they say and say, oh, that's a good idea. I can learn from that and move forward. But I'm just trying to pace you from or give you this heads up. When you start releasing your stuff out there, if you allow the good comments to lift you up emotionally and decide how you're going to feel about yourself, then you're in a bad spot. Don't allow that don't allow that to happen, because then when someone says something bad, you're going to hate yourself, and that doesn't make any sense. But it's what happens to pretty much anybody who's ever done art at some point or another, and then they have to learn their lesson. So I'm giving you the lesson now so that if you start to experience it, you know what to do.
Yes.
Anyhow, that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Matt, for the wonderful topic. I mean, man, it's so, like Ryan was saying, that's so relatable to Ryan and I. Both of us have been through, that type of stuff. So, yeah, it was a joy to talk about it. But yeah, I can't wait to see some of your stuff. So post it. Go to bss.studio. Everybody, in fact, everybody that's here, go to bss.studio. Matt, who is known as Swilk, is going to be posting some stuff, I bet.
Yeah, so, I'm excited to see it.
Yes, me too. So yeah. So now let's see who's next.
Driving out.
Who is next? Did we see Lay here?
Lay. Strawberry. I don't think. Yep. I don't think we saw them. So the next one would be K.
Yep. And I did see K at some point. It is K who was the anonymous.
Yeah, so they had previously been anonymous. They sent us an email. Okay, K is here.
All right.
Yep. They decided they don't want to be anonymous. Which, dude, props to you. That's awesome. Way to go, K. That takes courage, and I'm impressed. Especially, with anybody's issues that they're dealing with, to come out about whatever it is and talk about it. It's hard. Right. And yeah, if anybody wants to be anonymous, we're not going to feel any worse about you. But I do have to say that, Kay, that's awesome that you have decided to share your online identity here with us. So that's so cool.
Yes, absolutely.
that takes
But yeah,
care.
just so everybody knows, I just want to say this one more time. If you're having a challenge, feel free to post it in the chat. Feel free to go to bss.studio. Actually, let me just post that link, or maybe Princess will. Um,
Princess,
she's
thank you so
pretty good
much.
about it.
Also,
Yeah. Let's see who wins. Oh, she did it. Okay.
yeah, Princess put the last one we had during the chat today already in there. She's amazing.
Yes. Yes. So okay. So, yep, you can email us at dww@bss.studio. You can go to the website. Princess just posted the link, or feel free to put it in the chat. We'd be happy to handle anything you want to ask. So, any challenge you might be going with. And this one's a pretty serious one.
Yeah.
This one is a very challenging one. So, thank you, Kay, for posting this. Here's the link to it so you can read along as we go through it. But yeah, I actually came up with the title for this one because of how it was. But I titled it "Bisexual Attraction Surrounded by Bigotry," and so hopefully that reflects it pretty well. But
Yeah.
anyway, it goes like this. I've grown up very religiously my whole entire life, and from what my church teaches, it is a sin to be gay. For the last couple of years, I've realized that I am, in fact, bisexual. And since then, I've been able to realize how homophobic everyone in my church and my family are. All of the comments that are made, I can't help but take personal. And I've actually been told by my mom that if I don't follow her rules, I will be kicked out. And part of her rules are obeying our church. All the time, I hear hateful, homophobic comments from people that I care about, and I feel that the hate is personally attacking me. Also, week after week, going to a place where I know that I am hated and sitting and feeling hate is difficult. And whenever I hear comments about sexuality, I feel hated. I don't know if God exists. All I know is how I am. And the feeling I have towards people of the same gender of me is real. I've grown severely depressed and I have severe anxiety. I'm not blaming that on this situation alone. There's been a lot of stuff. Also, I am 18, but I can't find a job and I've been actively searching. So I don't know what to do. I am unable to move out and would have nowhere to go. I'm just scared. If all the people are true about what they say, I'll be hated by my family and church members, people I've known all my life and that I care about. And the possibility of being kicked out of my house is one that seems to be very real. But otherwise, it feels like I'm holding a secret in, and that feels very heavy. Every day, I just feel fake. It's kind of hard to express how difficult this situation is on me. So here's the question. Should I continue to hide my sexuality from the people around me and feel the hate indirectly pointed towards me? Or should I come clean and feel the hate directly pointed towards myself and possibly have the fate of being kicked out of my house with nowhere to go? And then in parentheses, I understand that both Static and CDVNL are Christian, and I'm not accusing the two of you of being homophobic. I'm only speaking in context of the church I go to. Wow. You know what, Kay? I really appreciate this. And I appreciate that you're not accusing us of being homophobic, because we're not.
That's true.
You know, and I tell you, if I could, I would reach through and give you a big hug, because this is super tough.
Yeah.
And my heart goes out to you, because wow, to feel that type of judgment all the time, that is heavy, my friend. And I'm glad you're here, because hopefully you will never ever feel judged in this environment. So with that, I'm gonna let Ryan start.
Yeah. Just like Joe said, man, that is a hard issue. That's a really to feel constantly attacked like that. Anytime that you go to church, which I'm sure you have a sincerity of wanting to be there, but also you can't help but feel the pain there and hate there and so on, indirectly, even though it's not really pointed at you. because of the judging that's going on. And I'm really sorry about that. I wish I could give you a big hug, dude. And just tell you, it's okay. Here's something, because I want to share with you something, because this is a somewhat religious topic here. So I hope you don't mind. I've got myself a Bible here. I'm going to share with you one of my most favorite passages from the New Testament. Most of my favorite stuff comes from the Old Testament. I'm not going to lie. Genesis is like amazing, but here's here's one of my favorite passages. This is Matthew 7. So I hope you don't mind. He says this: "Judge not, that you be not judged." So this is my favorite line in the whole, like one of my favorite lines in the New Testament. Judge not, that you be judged, judge not, that you be not judged. For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. And the measure you give will be the measure you get. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take that speck out of your eye, when there is a log in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. So a lot of people hate this passage because it's really harsh. A lot of people don't like this passage because it's hard for us not to judge. We constantly see ourselves judging other people, and we know we fall guilty to that, right?
Science, I always imagine that exact same thing. Science Rock says, I just imagine someone with a giant log sticking out of their head. Every time I read that passage, I think the same thing.
Yeah, I always imagine that too. Like, hey, you have something in your eye. And it's like, yeah, you're right. But yeah, it's hard. But the beginning opens up like this. Remember, judge not, that you be not judged. What that's saying is, if you don't judge, then you won't be judged. It's important to remember. Now, you're dealing with something religious here. So again, I'm going to continue. You're dealing with your church is saying, you can't be gay or God will hate you. But let me tell you, that's not true at all. Do you know why the rules God put are there? Like, God doesn't make the rules so that he can find ways to hate you. God doesn't put the rules out so he can find ways to make sure you don't get into heaven. Those rules exist to help you get into heaven. Those rules exist to help you become the best person you can be so that you can be happy, right? Now, we all have our issues. We all have our problems, and sometimes we don't overcome them. Unfortunately. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we have things like temptations that we live with our entire life. In fact, I'm not going to say sometimes. That's all the time. All of us have these things that we want to do, but we know aren't going to be good for us, right? So the rules that are there aren't to make you feel hated, right? God's intention isn't to hate you. It's to love you. And his rules are there to help you live in a direction that you are loving yourself appropriately. You're doing the things, abstaining from the things that won't do good for you, right? Sex is such a big thing in our world today. It always has been. Let's be real. It's always been an issue. It's always been like, oh my gosh, sex. But let me tell you something. That reminded me of like Morris Moss or something. Anyways, let me tell you something. There are things that matter way more than that. All right. And the problem is, in our world today, is people are identifying themselves based on their sexual preference.
Mm-hmm.
What is it between you and your mom that she needs to know that you like guys or that you like girls? She's never going to be a part of that type of relationship with you. You might like, I don't know, you might be attracted to belly buttons. You're like, oh my gosh, belly buttons. Whenever I see them, that just like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, okay, this is a weird concept, but there's people out there. All right. So I'm not shaming you if you like that, but here's the thing. What is that between you and your parents? How does that define you as a person, as a human being? That's not your identity. You are much more than that. And it's kind of weird. My brother pointed this out to me just the other day. It's not just society's fault. It's also the fault of the church that you're at too, unfortunately, because they're saying that you can't be gay, as if gay is what makes you human being.
Mm-hmm.
Like if gay is what defines you, but it's not. And society's out there and they're saying, you got to pick. Are you gay or are you heterosexual? Or are you homosexual? Or yes, it's the same thing. Are you bisexual? Are you pansexual? Are you all the other ones, right? There's so many out there and you have to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what defines you. And that's not true. That's not what defines you. You are much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
You are a human being. You are someone worth getting to know. You are someone beyond your sexual preference. You are so much more than that little tiny speck. And I call that a speck because I want to lead back to this. This is interesting. Because remember we talked about the log in the person's eye? Well, what is that log that's in their eye? What's funny is that log is referring back to judgment.
Mm. If
you're judging somebody, you can't possibly remove the speck from their eye. Because here's the thing, they're looking at somebody, maybe it's not you because they don't know that you're bisexual, right? But they're looking at the metaphorical people that they don't see or that they do. And they're saying, wow, those people are gay. We should hate them. They're terrible, right? How can they help that person become a better person if they're hating on them? They can't. They can't help the person move on in their scenario if they're so judgmental that they can't even approach them with peace and kindness and love. The log is judgment in this thing. So remember, don't judge. Now, is it okay to judge people's actions? Yes. It's important to judge your own actions. Yes. You have to be like, look, this is right, this is wrong. I can't just go up and punch this random stranger in the face because I don't like his Afghan. Right? Right? That's wrong.
But I don't like his Afghan. I really don't.
I don't like his Afghan, but I can't just punch him in the face for it, right? There are things that are wrong. And we can judge those actions, but we can't judge the person. Right? Only God can do that. So, I'm saying all this to say, I love you. God knows how you feel. And he feels pain for you, with you, because he doesn't want to see this judgment either. Let me ask you, maybe you're going to be the person that steps up and says, hey, let's change that about this world. Doesn't mean you have to go and be homosexual or bisexual or whatever. You get to pick what actions you take. I know a lot of people who they believe that taking those actions are wrong because they're not even married to the person. So doing those actions would be wrong just by nature. Whether it be with a girl or a boy, doesn't matter. It's wrong either way because they're not married to him, right? And so they say, okay, so it's wrong to be this. It's wrong to seek out those temptations and just, give into that sort of thing, that sort of behavior, like a lot of people do at college, um, as as we were talking about earlier. But you don't have to take those actions, right? And so, are you really bisexual, or is it just a tendency,
Hmm.
a desire? Oh, well, we all have desires.
Mm-hmm.
That's normal. That's normal. We all have desires. We all have thought about those things. I mean, anybody who's like considered different things like that, like they going down a road and they're like, oh my gosh, what if I did this? Like, I don't know. It could be anything. Let's talk about food so that it's not so weird, right? Like some people like chocolates. And then they go, wait a minute. What if I like, they see a bag in the grocery store and it's like full of chocolates. And like, oh my gosh, I could get these chocolates. I don't really have the money for it. And I mean, it's not healthy for me. I'm gonna get it. I'll get it. But that's a tendency that's not good for you. It's not healthy for you, and so it's not very loving to yourself, right? That's what we call gluttony,
Mm-hmm.
which is also a sin. You have lust, but you also have gluttony, and so you have the same issue as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the only one here. You're not the only and that you're not. But what I'm saying here is ultimately, if your church teaches that God died for your sins, right? Because he loves you, God so loved the world that he gave his only son, blah, 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 blah. You know that line. You've heard it probably a million times, right? Then he's not out to make sure you don't get to heaven. He's out to try to get you to heaven. And he doesn't hate you. In fact, God loves you so much and he doesn't want you to feel this pain, but he does want you to choose not to do the things that harm you or harm other people, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, that was a very I know it was a religious kind of talk there. And there's other things I can say about this, but that's kind of what I want to give it for now. And I'm going to let Joe do some talking. So
you're going to let me do some talking.
Yeah. In fact, whatever he's going to say is going to be like what you actually needed to hear. So
oh yeah,
go for it, Joe.
That's exactly right. No, I'm glad that you touched on the religious side of things, because there was a fairly religious aspect to this topic, mm-hmm. and so it needed to be handled that way. So, but I just I want to reiterate a couple of the things that Ryan had said, and that is one, probably the first thing, the thing that kind of churns me up a lot and makes me upset about this whole issue is the fact that we somehow feel the need to create labels for everybody. And like if you're dealing with a certain temptation or a certain tendency or certain you've got certain feelings, then that becomes your identity. When that's not your identity, that's just an experience you have. These feelings you have, these experiences, it's just that. They're experiences. Yes, they are real. And yes, they are powerful. But it is not who you are. You are so much more than these feelings. This is a part of your life experience. And it's something that you've had to deal with, and it's hard. And there are things that come along, but the main problem here is that we take a person who's dealing with certain feelings and we create an identity for them, and then we divide them from us or something. Like we divide each other out, and we're like, okay, well, you fit into this column, you fit into this column, you fit into this column, and then now we can't interact with each other. You can't live here anymore. You can't go to church here anymore. You can't do this here anymore because you have these certain feelings, right?
Yeah. It's so annoying. Makes me aggravated.
And Kay, yes, Kay just updated. Even if I don't see myself as that being my identity, people around me will. Yes, that
Mhm.
and that's the thing that ticks me off.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why? And so I would definitely think strongly about some of Ryan's advice, and that would be the advice. It's like, why is it anybody's business? The feelings you have, they might not be other people's business. I'm a married man. It is a sin for me to do any type of marital action with someone other than my wife, right? Now, when you get married, it doesn't automatically turn off all those temptations.
Right.
There's nothing magic, no magic switch happens, and like all of a sudden the whole rest of the world is not a temptation. No, no, no. They're still out there. And they're in the weirdest places sometimes. But it would be wrong for me to take action in that direction because of the things that could happen to my family, the things, all the stuff that could happen. But just because I have that feeling, I have the feeling toward a person other than my wife, that doesn't make me an adulterer. That just makes me have a feeling. But now, if I went around sharing, see, that's the thing. I don't have to go around telling everybody, hey, man, did you see that person? I really thought that they were really cute, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah, that actually makes things worse.
Exactly. Like, I don't have to broadcast it to the world. Like, that's a feeling that I had. And I'm like, wait a second, I have to, so one of the things that you can do is you can pay attention to the feelings you have. Pay attention to the things that you're experiencing and be like, okay, would it be right for me to pursue this feeling? And for me, and because of my beliefs as a Christian, and because of how I believe about marriage, any other activity outside of my marriage is wrong. So I look at that area and I have feelings and I'm drawn toward that area, and I'm like, you know what, I can't go there. I have to learn to deny myself. And there are a couple of places you can go. So first of all, to continue to hide your sexuality, I don't think you should feel like you're hiding anything just because you have feelings in a certain direction. And because it's not really anybody else's business, really. It's not really their business, especially people who are going to judge you over it.
Mm.
Because what's going to happen, like, and here's weird. I'm going to also go a little bit religious. Like, okay, remember the passage Ryan just read about, someone having to remove the log from their own eye before they remove the speck? So let's take the people that would be judging you. They're the ones with the log in their eye, and they would be trying to take the speck from your eye, but they wouldn't be doing it in a very nice way because they're being all judgy about it, right?
They can't see clearly.
Exactly. They can't see clearly. That's exactly the point. So here's the thing. For you to broadcast to them this thing about, these feelings that you have might be an occasion for them to sin by judging you. And in that way, you might cause somebody that you care about to stumble. And so that's one thing you can do, is like to really think about that. Is it any of their business? It might be prudent for you to keep these feelings to yourself, not broadcast them. Then you don't have to worry about getting kicked out of the house, and you don't have to worry about people judging you. You don't have to worry about causing your brothers and sisters to stumble, the people that are there with you. You don't have to worry about that. Now, I know it might feel like you're bottling things up. And here's another thing that I don't like about the culture. For some reason, we have gone to the point where it's like, hey, if you have these feelings, it's wrong for you not to express them. That is the biggest load of codswallop.
I like Codswallop. No, I'm just kidding. I don't even know what it is.
Like, no. Yeah. People are like, oh, everybody needs to know. No, they don't. They don't need to know. So where are some places you can go? First of all, stick to people who aren't going to judge you for it. If there are people who are going to judge you, then quite honestly, they haven't really earned the ability for you to share this with them if they're going to judge you about it. Does that make sense? Ryan, give me some validation if that makes sense.
Yes.
Did that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was slightly distracted by the chat with Brie.
Oh, no problem.
But
right.
Anyhow.
It's totally cool. I just wanted to be like, I wanted to stop and make sure I wasn't going totally off the rails.
No, you're until you happened to ask as soon as I stopped paying attention. But yes, so far everything has been perfect. I'm just as rattled with the situation of the culture being all like, you have to express this. This is your identity, when it's just a feeling or an experience.
Right. And there's temptation all around us all the time. And so our culture has gone in this direction where it's like, okay, you have to tell everybody, you have to broadcast it, you have to be who you are. And we somehow think that feeling is who we are, when that's not who you are. Okay. You are so much more than that. You're so much more. You have dreams and goals and talents and gifts, and just there's so much more to you than this feeling. This feeling is not your identity. And there's an apostolate. There's a group. I think it's called Courage. It's a Catholic group specifically designed for people who deal with same-sex attraction. Because for the Christian religion, to act sexually outside of marriage is sin.
Whether it's male or female.
Male, female, straight, gay, all of it. Right. Outside of marriage, it's sinful. And so, by definition, same sex would be sinful because, we can talk about definition of marriage. Marriage, is generally for the upbringing of children, for family, stuff like that. That's a whole other topic. I'm probably going to get shot, and we're going to have a whole bunch of people leave the chat now because I said that. I apologize. But so the Courage Apostolate is there to help people with same-sex attraction, to sort through these feelings and to help them understand that, wait a second, no, you don't have to label yourself because you have a feeling. You don't have to make a certain decision because you have a feeling. You don't have to act on these feelings. In fact, most of the time when I have a feeling, it's better for me not to act on it. Yes. I want to eat lots of candy and French fries. It's better for me not to act on that. I want to sleep in late and not go to work. But you know what? Just because I feel like it, I got to go to work or else we're going to be broke. So it's like this whole, okay, I know, I hate not acting on it. Yes, I understand. And that is so hard. I hate not acting on so many temptations that come my way. Especially in the marriage situation I've had for the last 10 years, we've had some ups and some downs, and it's been crazy. And there have been times when it's like, oh my gosh, I could just act on this temptation. But you know what? Sometimes it's better to deny yourself that action, because doing it will cause pain. And like Ryan was saying, why did God put those rules into place? Because he wants you to be happy. And a happy person, here's one thing I had to learn the hard way. Happiness is not being addicted to some sexual feeling. And I learned that the more I acted in that direction, the more that addiction took hold of me, the more that addiction bound me up and compelled my actions. It was like it was telling me what to do. And I didn't have a choice in the matter. I could no longer make a choice. So we're not happy when we're not free. And when we're addicted to sex, we're not free. We're compelled by pleasure seeking. And that doesn't lead to happiness at all. It's the weirdest thing, but we think it's going to make us happy to seek pleasure. But really, the more we pursue it, the more we end up bound up in this vice, and then we're trapped. And we see massive amounts of depression and all kinds of other problems that happen as a result of people feeling trapped by that. It's the same thing with drug addiction. It's the same thing with alcohol addiction. They're all pleasure-seeking vices that can grab you if you don't control them, if you don't learn to deny yourself in certain moments. Then you'll be trapped by it. And Kay, I want you to be happy. I want you to pursue what you're put on this earth to pursue. And I don't want you to feel bound by a desire. And I certainly don't want you to feel like that desire is all you are, because you're so much more than that. And I love you a lot. And I'm really glad you're here. And I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan before I say anything else too controversial. Take it away from me, please.
Well, it's hard because it is a controversial subject, very controversial in our society today. Many different opinions, many different thoughts about it, about same-sex attraction and your identities and so on and so forth. I think, I've talked about the culture of acceptance before. Everybody wants to be accepted for who they are. But I'll repeat it just in quick here. You want to, you want it to be okay, right? That you're bisexual and you just want it to be like that, and that's okay. And I think that's really what a lot of people want. They just want to be accepted for the things that they identify with. The problem is, acceptance is not love. Acceptance is another form of judgment. It's just, judging them and saying, I approve of that, rather than saying I disapprove. But it's still judgment either way. And the problem with it is it causes judgment in the opposite direction as well, which is not okay. If you get what I'm saying. If you cling to the idea of wanting other people to accept you, then you aren't going to be happy in life. Not because it's impossible to be accepted, but because your happiness is now dependent upon other people telling you that they accept you. And a lot of times, here's the biggest problem: you don't accept yourself. A lot of the pain that we feel when we're searching for acceptance is coming from not being able to accept ourselves. Because in truth, we can't. Because we all want to be perfect by nature, but we can't. We can't do everything right. And our minds do bad things to us. I said this a couple streams ago, and Joe really liked it. I'm going to say it again. It's important to hold the bar high on yourself. But love yourself above the bar.
Mm-hmm.
You have to love yourself rather than just accepting that things are the way they are. Because if you accept yourself as you are now, you will never continue to grow. And we know that when you stop growing, you actually start to diminish. Things start to fall apart. If you have, I don't know if you've ever done anything but like that requires talent. But if you stop for a long time, you try to come back to it, you're not as good as you used to be, whether that be a sport or whether that be like, doing art or whatever. Um, and the same is true for most facets of life. But what I'm saying is, if you give into the culture of acceptance, and then you somehow figure out a way to accept yourself as you are, then you stop moving forward. But if you learn how to love yourself, then you will continue to move forward and continue to help yourself grow. Whatever that might be, whatever areas that might be growing in. But I can't really say much more than what Joe said. And I hope this has helped. Hope this has helped relieve some of the stress. I understand that it is hard. And there's a lot of other people who have gone through or who are going through still today what you are right now. Like Joe said, there's communities out there for people like you. Courage is a good one. There's some really good talks online about the subject that I would love to share with you. If you want to talk with me, I'll give you some really good videos about this sort of stuff. So yeah, I wish you the best. I want you to know that you're not helpless in this. That you are loved regardless of what you desire. And you know what? You're loved regardless of your past. And you are loved regardless of your future. Unconditional love. Okay? Unconditional love. It doesn't mean only unconditional love for people who aren't broken. Because we're all broken.
Everybody is, yeah.
Only unconditional love, unless you're, gay or something, and then we don't love you. Then God doesn't love you. That's not the way it is. Unconditional love means unconditional, right? So don't beat yourself up. Don't ever beat yourself up about this issue. I can understand the desires that come with it, and especially the desires to beat yourself up over it and stress about it. And I think better than stressing about it and worrying about what you're going to do is to move on. Sometimes you have to just accept things as they are, but trudge through it. A lot of times, what gives me happiness in life, what gives me peace of mind, what gives me hope and strength comes from looking at the things that as they are and just accepting it and saying, yep, that's just how it is. Let's move forward. Let's just keep moving forward. Yes, this is going to be a thorn in my side, and it's going to continue being a thorn in my side. But you know what? I can still keep moving forward. And that brings me peace. Because I don't let the thorns hold me back. And you shouldn't either. I wish you the best, Kay. I love you, man. I know what you're going through is hard. I know it wrenches at your soul. I know this is extremely hard, stressful, painful, and you probably have prayed many times, take this away from me. Why me? Why does it have to be this way? I get it.
Yeah.
I understand that. And I've prayed things like that too. I think we all have. So,
yeah. Kay, really quick, I wanted to make sure that if I wanted to apologize because I see your post that says it's a bigger feeling than wanting to sleep in. In no way did I want to give you the impression that I was, equating the desire to sleep in with the desires you're contending with here. Because I know they're in totally different ballparks, but I was just making an illustration there with a few different examples that I know there isn't much that can compare to desires that you're struggling with and that you're handling. And I understand that you feel ripped apart, and I totally can see how you would hate religion for saying that it's the wrong action. I totally can understand how you'd be in that place. And I hope that what I said didn't offend you. I hope, because that wasn't my intent. I want to make sure that you know that we love you.
Mm-hmm. And it's just as Joe said, this isn't what makes you who you are. And that's why Joe said those things, because you aren't just bisexual. That's not really all your identity amounts to. You are so much more. You're worth spending time with. You're worth giving things up for. You're worth dying for. You're a human being. And so, yeah. Anyways.
There were a couple of other really, really good posts in here. Cherry had one way up earlier. Said, and she said she left by now, I think, but she said, love should never depend on any type of flesh, seeing as flesh is only temporary. The soul is what lasts. So I feel as if the person's soul is what the love should be based on.
Wow, Cherry said that. That's awesome.
Cherry said that.
I'm sad that she's gone now because I really like that.
Yes. So Cherry, if you're listening, then thank you for putting that in there. I wanted to make sure that made it into the soundscape, because that was a very, very wise statement. And it's so true. Like, because even though we get attracted to, we have bodily attractions, the fleshly attractions, the thing that's most important is what's in our hearts. The thing that's most important is that timeless soul, that everlasting soul that's there. And, every day I'm getting older and uglier.
Joe, I thought you were more beautiful today.
More and more, I depend on people loving me at the soul level and not the bodily level. So yeah. Okay. I'm glad you weren't offended. And yeah, hopefully that was helpful for you, man. And keep coming back. Keep being a part of this community. You will never, ever, ever be judged by us here.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yep.
And if you ever feel that way, say something, please, so we can address it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's me who says it, please let me know. If I ever say something or do something that offends you, please tell me, because I want this to be an environment that's safe for people. And if I'm off track, man, I need to fix myself.
Yeah, that's the way it is for me too. Yeah, because we don't want to be off track. Mm-hmm. Especially, because we're talking to real people with real problems, situations, and we want to do our best to help. We don't know all the answers, but we want to at least be able to help. And if we push people away because of something, then we've done the opposite of what we're trying to do. And so hopefully we never do that. But if we do, we want to learn from those mistakes and fix ourselves.
Yep. So thank you, Kay. Thank you for posting. Thanks for having the guts to post that. I can imagine that was a difficult thing to decide to do. I so much appreciate you for it.
Yeah.
So thanks again. And what do you think, Ryan? We're getting pretty close to the 2-hour spot here.
Yeah, we are. You know what? We did pretty good. We did pretty good. How many did we cover?
We did 3 of them.
I think we did.
And this one definitely, this one definitely needed some extra time because of the complexity.
Yeah.
Involved. So sometimes, and that's the thing. Like when we get this close to the 2-hour mark, I always feel like I'd be shortchanging somebody if we started one.
Yeah.
I feel like we were rushing through it, and I don't want to do that because then I feel.
We did the first 2 pretty well timed, and then the last one, it's a very controversial subject. You have to take your time on it because you don't want to push people away before you really get your thoughts out there, and so you can't just go saying stuff. It's also a really important subject right now in our culture today. One that is really hits home to a lot of people. So it's
Yeah.
important to give it the time, I think.
Yeah. Okay, you're
Thanks,
very
Kay.
welcome.
Yeah, we love you. Man.
Thank
You so
you.
much.
Thank you for posting.
Mhm.
Oh my. But yeah, in our meme culture where everything's a one-liner,
Yeah.
you know, in order to handle something like that genuinely, you can't do it in just a meme.
Yeah.
There's so many nuances to some of these things, and you gotta take some time to unpack it.
Haley, isn't that's like a TV show, isn't it? It's a
There's
place
a place where we don't have to feel alone. I think you're talking about where everybody knows your name.
Yeah,
Ding,
yeah.
ding, 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 and they're always glad you came.
Nice.
That's
Is that what it's
Cheers.
from?
I think it's
Cheers?
from Cheers.
Cheers. What, really? I used to actually watch Cheers.
It's an old
Because
show.
it was the only TV show that was on. I had one channel. That's it. Well, no, I had like 3, but yeah.
Yep, the stream is the new Cheers.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh, geez.
Where everybody knows your name because your name shows up in the chat, so we know it. And we're always glad you're here.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Nice.
That should be the channel's theme song, maybe, but then someone would make money off of our show.
Yes, Haley, that was so funny. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Haley's doing amazingly strange Photoshop work.
Oh.
Her head inside of my head, and inside of where my face should be was her face in a picture I took like years ago, and so her hair had my hair on top. It was weird, but anyways, it was creepy.
Yeah.
It was amazing though. She did a really good job. I'll have to be honest. She did a good job.
Haley, question for you. Is it okay if I talk about what you shared with me?
Oh.
So yeah, I don't want to talk about it without permission, so I'm not going to until she. Okay, sure.
Sure.
I have to say, Haley shared with me. She found me on Discord and she asked if I would watch a video of her recent. Was it solo ensemble or was it just a judged perform? It was a judged performance of her singing a duet. And
I think she sent me that, but I was on vacation, so I didn't check it out.
solo ensemble. Man, Haley, I absolutely loved hearing you sing. And yeah, it was her duet. Okay, so a lot probably must be other people that heard it. Yes. I thought it was awesome. And I listened to that and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys picked a tough song. I'm like, wow. Because I'm listening to all the different stuff going on there. It was put in sharing. Okay, so
cool.
Yeah. I guess I felt really special, like it was just like to me.
It was special, Joe.
Yes, it was. But Haley, thank you for sharing it, because she knew that I wasn't going to be checking all the other areas because I don't know how to do half this technology stuff. So she took it upon herself to find me and personally.
She's so thoughtful.
Like, wow. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, Haley, because I really, really enjoyed listening. And Joe, you'll always be special. Thank you. Haley, you are special.
Yes.
Yeah. And everybody, man, you guys are so awesome here. I got to tell you, go to bss.studio, hang out. I know a lot of us haven't been around. The staff members haven't been around very much lately. It's just things. We've got a lot of projects that we're trying to get done for you guys, try and get going. You know, we just want to produce more and more stuff. And so I apologize that we haven't been there. We're gonna actually. I was talking to Kyle, Ryan's brother, the other day. I'm like, we gotta figure out a way to just, I don't know if we got to schedule time to be on there or something.
Yeah.
You know, figure out how to get in there more, because there's so many great people there, and I feel like we're ripping you guys off because we're not like.
Yeah. I know. I mean,
but no. So go to bss.studio. keep your eyes and ears open because there's going to be new stuff coming out. And yeah. Oh, and there's going to be we are on the verge of having a recommended book list because you know how I am. I always recommend a book.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have that on the website. There's new shows, new other stuff, interviews, all kinds of different stuff. It's going to be fun. Everyone would love it if you both would come to the server more often.
Yeah.
I would love that too.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do that.
Okay, we're going to do that.
Yes, we're going to make it a point to do it. So check this show out here. We've got on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean. Don't Worry Wednesday comes out every Wednesday. We've got a new segment from a past episode that comes out every Wednesday. So you can check out the podcast and listen. It also comes out on YouTube. Many of you probably see those because a lot of you are probably subscribed. If you're not subscribed, ring the bell and subscribe. And if you like listening to podcasts, you can listen to the podcast, and the audio has actually been touched up and edited to some degree to make it flow a little bit better on the podcast side of things. So
and Joe's voice is recorded with a better mic, so it sounds.
It is.
You like his voice now. You'll like his voice even more when you hear it on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you listen to the right podcast. There were a couple of podcasts in there where we didn't have the mic set up yet. So
yeah, the early on podcasts, they were tough. They were a little on the roughish side. But yeah. So they're coming out every Wednesday. We're gonna probably increase that, and then keep along because we're gonna have more stuff coming out too. There's a lot of stuff about to start coming out. So
yeah,
appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for coming, and I love you too, Haley. You're awesome. Thanks, Princess.
You guys are all amazing. We love you guys. Thanks so much for joining us.
Mm-hmm. Special thanks to Princess. Special thanks to Jesse, and very special thanks to everybody in the chat for being here today. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, Haley was saying, "I love you." Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. See, perfect timing. Look at that.
Yep.
I love you. Oh.
Nice.
Even Princess said, a while back.
Nobody called him Waddles today.
Wow. Boy, Joe, what did you do? Jesse's chiming in the background, calling him Waddles. Our maniacal producer. Oh my gosh, that guy. He's trying to change people's names.
His name is Waddles.
All right. See you guys. Thanks so much. Love you all.
Bye guys.
Bye-bye.
Love you. You're awesome. We'll see you next time. Friday.
Yes.